Hello, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome to our online viewers as well. Thanks for being with us today for this last session of day 2. It's an absolute pleasure to moderate this session because it's the first time there's been a dedicated panel for research and innovation here. So this is going to be something special. Before we start, quick show of hands in the room. Who here is a researcher? Welcome, brilliant. All right, if not a researcher, who has direct contact with a research team? Yes. Actually, I might as well ask about innovation as well. That is such a strong hand up, sir. Let me ask about innovation. Who would consider themselves an innovator? Okay, who has direct contact with innovators? Look, this is brilliant. I think this is anyone. Is there anyone who hasn't yet raised their hand? And if so, let us introduce you to the wonderful world of research and innovation. We've got some great stuff for you. So before we actually start and before we look at some of the detailed areas and start to talk about them, what we're actually going to do is get your response to some thoughts about the future. And you'll see why I'm doing this as we go through this session. But I'm going to give you a Slido QR code now. And what I'd like everyone in the room to do now is just make sure that you have got Slido opened. If we can put the QR code up in the web. Lovely, thank you. What we're asking you to do to start with is not submit questions, but we're asking you for your priorities for agriculture, forestry and rural areas that should be supported by the future research and innovation programs. It will explain all of that when you open Slido, but basically, and for online as well this is, basically we're asking you when it comes to research and innovation, what are your priorities? Where do you think R&I should be concentrated? And we're going to keep that open right the way through this session, and we will put all your responses together. So towards the end, we will be able to see what everyone has thought. Okay, thank you. I'll keep that running. Now, as you will be very, very well aware, the strategic dialogue said there should be an increased investment in research and innovation and better sharing of knowledge and skills. So that is the crux of this session. More investment and better sharing in knowledge and skills. How do we do that in practice? What are we doing now and how do we do that in practice? And you'll be very pleased to know we've got a lot of great examples to share with you. But first, for our opening keynote, to get us in the right context, please welcome the Acting Deputy Director General in Directorate General for Agriculture and Rural Development. Please welcome Diego Cangofano. Diego, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sasha. Dear participants online and on-site, it's an honor to give a keynote speech on the very first research and innovation session during the EU Agri-food Days. Our farmers are under huge pressure, notably to carve out living from their work, from climate change and extreme weather events like the recent event in Spain, from geopolitical instability, from changing food consumption patterns and high societal expectations, and from challenging working conditions. These pressures, accentuated by the difficult to access land, discourage many young people from becoming farmers, slowing down the process of generation renewal. In fact, we know the figure, only 10% of farmers are under the age of 40. We need to do our best to stimulate young people to join farming. And this is essential for the sustainability of food production and for all food security. For the first time, research and innovation is on the program, not by chance. Research and innovation have a great potential to help farmers and society in alleviating these pressures and attracting newcomers and young generations to agriculture and related business. While all farmers and our food systems face challenges, research and innovation are there to provide solutions. With research and innovation, we are modernizing our farming and food systems to support sustainability, productivity growth in agriculture and ensure food security. We are progressing, but we need to accelerate the co-creation of research and innovation that address the multiple challenges faced by the sector. And we need to strengthen and speed up the support for the deployment of innovation on the ground. I will come back later on this particular point. Since a decade, the European Union has stepped up its action on agricultural research and innovation, guided by a long-term strategic approach. In this context, I want to highlight now 6 points, which are the most important actions. First, the European Union has managed to break the silos and build on the strengths of 2 policies, the research policy, Horizon, and the common agricultural policy. They are now working in close synergy under the common concept of the European Innovation Partnership for Agricultural Productivity and Sustainability to support co-creation and exchange knowledge and innovation with clear positive impacts for farmers and citizens. Second, the EU investment dedicated to agricultural research and innovation have substantially increased over the last decade. The European Union has invested over 3 billion euros on the Horizon in more than 550 projects at transnational level. And at the same time, on the common agricultural policy, over 1.4 billion euros have been invested in almost 3,900 EAP operational groups. They are bottom-up innovation projects based on complementarity, knowledge, and co-creation of innovation solutions. Third, the European Union has been promoted the interactive and place-based innovation model with a multi-actor approach and living laboratories. So what does multi-actor approach means is that all relevant actors, farmers, advisors, researchers, entrepreneurs, co-create and share knowledge, best practices and innovation, responding to the concrete needs of the farmers. And living labs are the real-life sites in which the diverse actors experiment and test solutions, for example, for soil health and agroecology in a creative manner. Thanks to these approaches, innovative solutions are now truly created for and with farmers that need them, most in places where they live and work. So the gap between research and practice is being bridged, and innovative solutions are readily are usable now for farmers in the diverse local context. Fourth, we need to ensure that the multiple research and innovation actors, in particular farmers, are not burdened by excessive bureaucracy. Therefore, the Commission is simplifying the administrative requirements and procedures. For example, we are introducing lump sums in funding and financial support for third parties in Horizon calls. These are the first steps in view of a broader simplification effort that we have initiated. This means easier access to the program, especially for farmers, SMEs, and newcomers. Fifth, in the spirit of the message of President von der Leyen, in the face of complex challenges, Europe is stronger together. And therefore, the European Union has launched research and innovation co-funded partnerships on the Horizon Europe with the member states, so partnerships with member states and associated countries. On those partnerships, we coordinate, align, and leverage Europe and national research efforts in key areas such as agroecology, animal health and welfare, sustainable food systems. And there are 2 partnerships in the pipeline, agriculture of data and forestry, which are coming very soon. And finally, sixth and finally, the European Union is using a new instrument, the missions to respond to the greatest societal challenges of our time, such as restoring and preserving soil health for food, water, climate and biodiversity. The EU mission Soil Day for Europe was launched in 2021. It's rooted in research and innovation, but goes much beyond with linking to other policies like in the Common Agricultural Policy. The solutions developed can be experimented and upscaled, for instance, through the EIP Agri operational groups. We have 100 living labs to be prepared, and with more than 1,000 testing sites in all European pedoclimatic conditions. That's one of the very concrete outcomes. So farmers, foresters, rural and urban communities experiment with scientists, innovators, and the business real-life settings. Thanks to all these initiatives and strong financial support, farmers today have a great deal of truly groundbreaking knowledge and innovative solutions at hand to make their farms more competitive, environmentally sustainable, and socially responsible. We have selected 5 projects to present you examples in a moment: Tombres, Nomad, Excalibur, Vivaldi, and Rubismo, and they will explain in a moment what it is, all of those nice examples. For more examples and solutions developed by Horizon and EAP operational groups, outside in the meeting room there are concrete explanations. Now let me tackle one subject which is very close to my heart. All this is very nice. But how can we make specifically that those innovations really go to farmers? Really, let's be specific. Civil servants, we have the reputation to use langue du bois. I'm going to be super specific. No langue du bois, very specific. So some reflections on this particular point. First message, farmers listen to farmers. Farmers don't listen to officials. Farmer listens to farmers. So if we really want to be specific, we have to use that farmers helping other farmers in specific innovations. Now, second, to ensure innovations, we have the Agriculture Knowledge and Innovation System, AKIS in the jargon. Now, under the Common Agricultural Policy, member states produce national strategic plans. Now, the figure that member states are investing in these AKINs is quite modest, and only 0.7% of the total allocation for the national strategic plans goes to AKIS. So one message, maybe member states should invest a little bit more in AKIS if we really want that the innovations that these fantastic people are doing really go even more to the ground. Another message, under Horizon, we have funded more than 50 thematic networks that collect, summarize, and widely share new knowledge and best practices. On top of that, the EU Farm Book project develops an EU-wide online platform to bring together all the tangible outputs of research and innovation. So through this, farmers and advisors across Europe will have one-stop shop access to practical knowledge and solutions. And Horizon, by the way, has supported also the setting of 7 EU advisory networks. So there is a lot of very good work going on to be specific and targeted and to bring results. Now, let me also share a thought with you. Living labs. In the mission soil, we are producing living labs, and some of them are already in place. Should we not have more living labs, for example, all across the European Union to have more efficient application? And my final comment on these things to be specific. One of the persons in this meeting room told me yesterday in the networking that the Japanese now are using artificial intelligence to give advice to farmers. Interesting, interesting. Why not? So what I can tell from that is that there's a huge effort from the Commission to be really practical. And I want to put to highlight the great work that we're doing to be practical and operational, and all these innovations to be applied on the ground. Now, before let me conclude, let me recall that research and innovation policy are in the current political context, so the new Commission started its mandate, and the discussions on the future program have just started. President von der Leyen has provided the political direction for 24-29, and I think you said it before, one aim is to have competitive, resilient, and sustainable agriculture to ensure food security, and research and innovation play a key role on that. So this session is a true opportunity to have your say on how to shape the future EU agricultural policy towards the vision for farming. And so to inspire the discussions, I would also like to recall some of the key elements of the strategic dialogue on the future of EU agriculture. So the strategic dialogue pointed to the need for better access and better use of knowledge and innovation to enable the transition of the agri-food systems. And they recommended to increase investments and public-private partnerships for research and innovation, facilitate access to a better sharing of knowledge, innovation and skills, particularly via independent advisory services, streamline regulatory process for the access to market of new technologies, to use the opportunity of digitalization in a responsible manner, and to promote social innovation as enabler of sustainable farming. These are the recommendations that will contribute to the forthcoming vision for the agriculture and food that we'll produce in the first 100 days. But to operationalize the recommendations, we need to discuss today in which research and innovation priorities to invest. and what more can be done to provide better access to and use of knowledge and innovation by farmers. So the time to discuss is now, and since we're paving today the way for the last 2 years of Horizon Europe and the next EU research and the future CAP. So we have some questions for you, some important questions. For example, as I said before, should the living lab model be implemented in other areas in agriculture, for example? What other types of particular knowledge systems could be well suited for the rapid dissemination and exchange of existing knowledge, best practices? How to incentivize member states to match the ambitions with the resource allocated to improve access by knowledge, by information, by farmers? And final question, can the national CAP networks in tandem with the EU CAP network play a bigger role in dissemination, the great work of knowledge? Those are, I think, pertinent questions, and we're looking forward to your replies. So your views, I'm about to conclude, your views will feed into the co-creation of the future EU research and innovation actions. They are very important to make sure that we can achieve our modernization objectives and that we can provide the research and innovation that our farmers, foresters, and rural communities need. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Come and take a seat. Come and take a seat. Incidentally, you were mentioning AI and other tools for farmers with advice and things. You will love the session tomorrow that we have when we start talking about digitalization. Take a seat wherever, but here if you want, and then we can get all the other projects here. Because something that you mentioned, Diego, was that you have chosen 5 projects that you would like to highlight and to talk about. There were hundreds to choose from, and so we've picked 5 really, really special ones that we think give a really good cross-section of some of the ideas and what people are doing. So we're going to start with a project that was designed to increase stress tolerance, make it easier for farmers who are growing crops in areas of drought. And it all starts with a tomato. So, ladies and gentlemen, from Tomres, please welcome Andrea Schubert.
Thank you. So, the task or the project I coordinated was to provide solutions for increasing water and nutrient use efficiency, and to increase also resilience to water and nutrient stress in crops. So we followed a single crop, different investigation levels approach. The crop was tomato, and the approaches were genetic and biological and technological. The multi-actor approach of the project was ensured by participation of farmers and of companies. Co-innovation developed through different tools, in particular through a very active stakeholder group, and also through testing sites and farmer events. So these tools allowed us to provide several solutions, which were designed both for tomato cultivated under protected conditions and in the field. And I'm going to display here our choice of these solutions. Okay, so we tested these solutions in protected conditions, in orchards. Mainly Mediterranean orchards. Nature-inspired biostimulants are basically root extracts. So we based our efforts on the natural fact that tomato plants, when exposed to drought, produce stregolactones, hormones in the roots, and these hormones move to the leaves where they have an effect in closing stomata. And this reduces water loss to the atmosphere and increase the resilience to water stress. So the innovation here was to develop and test these extracts and treat tomato and also other crops with these extracts. And this was effective in inducing reduction of water loss from the plant and so increasing water use efficiency. A second very interesting innovation was based on green manuring. Green manuring is something which is very well known, consists in growing a legume crop which is very rich in nitrogen because it has a symbiosis with bacteria that fix nitrogen. In orchards during the winter time when tomatoes are not there, and then incorporate these plants in the soil to increase organic matter and to increase nitrogen content of the soil. And the innovation here was based on selection of symbiotic microbia, rhizobia, which were obtained, isolated from stressed area, water-stressed areas. We inoculated faba beans with this bacteria, and this provided a better growth of faba beans, so a better growth of the green manuring crop, which led to improved nitrogen, basically nitrogen use efficiency. And in the field, a very effective innovation was based on a decision support system that was designed to help farmers. It was based on, let's say, territorial information about climate and different conditions of the area, but in particular then on prescription maps, which are maps of the crop produced by specific sensors, which give very precise information about the vegetative growth of the plant. And based on this, it is possible to use variable rate machines to distribute fertilizers and water in order to distribute them according to the need of the plants, of the single plants in the field, which of course optimizes the amount of fertilizers and water which are used. And we tested also this in tomato fields, and this led to an optimization of the two treatments with increase in water use efficiency and nutrient use efficiency. So these are three examples I summarized very briefly. These examples are now under different technological readiness levels. Some of them are under commercial development or under commercial exploitation. And, well, if you have questions, I will be happy to answer.
Come and take a seat, come and take a seat. Ingenious, really, really interesting to hear about. Thank you. We're now going to turn to fertiliser. As you know, the EU, very dependent on imports here. But of course, because of the price rocketing, this particular project wanted to look at more of a circular farm-based model. So welcome from Nomad, Susanna Lorenzo.
Well, thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Can you please play the video? Thank you. So in agriculture, the most important element, as you may know, is nitrogen that helps the crops to grow. And it can be provided to the plants through fertilization in the form of nitrates. So the farmers rely very heavily on the use of inorganic fertilizers, the use of, I think that the video is playing again from the start. So they rely again on fertilizers that are chemicals and are chemically synthesized. And another alternative that can be used, that it could probably have less environmental impacts, is digestate, which is produced from biogas plants. Biogas plants that are using waste from agri-food industry. So the digestate contains nutrients and organic matter and can be used again, can return back to the fields and used as a soil improver or fertilizer. However, it is produced in high quantities and occupies very high volumes that require frequent transportation to be distributed in the fields. And also, if not optimally applied, it can cause eutrophication, and some of the digestates may also contain pollutants. That can further cause more environmental stresses and impact. So if it is processed, it can be concentrated into a form that has nutrients, very rich in nutritional value, and can be applied in the fields in a compact way. So in the NOMAD project, a transportable plant was constructed containing different equipment, different technologies that can be flexible, in a flexible manner be operated to process digestate. And it contained heavy-duty equipment for solid liquid separation, as well as more advanced technologies such as ultrafiltration and selective electrodialysis, as well as UV oxidation and reverse osmosis. The products of the process were tested in greenhouse trials and had good results compared to conventional fertilizers. And demo campaigns took place in Greece, Italy, Malta, and the UK, achieving volume reduction in the digestate, production of soil improvers and fertilizers, and clean water for irrigation purposes, as well as to return it back to the biogas plant. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Come and take a seat. Thank you. Really good to hear about your solution, and amazing just to see the size of the mobile unit as well. We're going to move now from fertiliser to pest management, and that crucial balance between protecting crops and also safeguarding nature. So we're going to now look at a project that wanted to keep plants healthy, but with a very biodiversity-friendly awareness. So please, from Excalibur, welcome Stefano Moccali. Stefano.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. So let's go straight to the point. The Excalibur project is still ongoing, and it is focused on soil biodiversity, which represents about the 60% of the entire biodiversity of the planet, so a huge amount of life, which is, by the way, still largely unknown. So the first goal of the project was to expand our knowledge about this soil biodiversity in terms of who is there, who is doing what, about the dynamics and links between this biodiversity and the agricultural production, and use this information to enhance the efficacy of the biocontrol and biofertilization practices that are currently adopted in horticultural farming. And this was done involving engaging farmers since the very beginning of the project and co-designing the experimental design together. So I can move. Next slide, please. Okay, thanks. So the first example I'd like to show you about the innovation we got in the project is the development of novel microbial-based products. So you know that microbial inoculants are considered like a very promising solution for the reduction of chemical input in agriculture, but their efficacy is still debated and limited by several bottlenecks and factors like production and application protocols, and also the quality of the soil where the products are destinated. So we focus on improving the fermentation and formulation processes together with industrial partners. We selected these products according with a biodiversity-driven approach, consider the biodiversity of the native biodiversity of the soils, and the most promising products have been tested under protected conditions, under open field conditions on tomato, strawberry, and apple fields. And the products that proved to be effective under real conditions have been then were taken to a higher TRL level together with the industrial partners, and most of them are now ready for the market. Next slide, please. So another innovation I'd like to show you is about a molecular device tool that is able to track these products, the fate of binoculars in the soil. So this technology is interesting, I think, for regulatory purposes, of course, but also for farmers or producers that will be able to ensure the right amount of the product to be applied in the soil. So this has been validated on specific bacteria, Bacillus subtilis, but can be adapted to any other microbial strain. It is based on an aptamer technology, which is innovative in agriculture, essentially based on DNA molecules that act like antibody, and they are able to specifically recognize any target molecule, and can be quantified by a gravimetric sensor, which actually we are developing a lab-on-chip version of this sensor together with a company in order to produce a portable device to be used in the field. So the farmers will be able to directly extract the DNA in the field by their own with a very easy kit, and just put a drop of the sample on the chip and get the result in real time with a very smart device. So this is the goal that we are going to achieve. Next, the last example I'd like to show you is about a couple of additional tools that are almost ready, but they are expected to assess the impact of these binoculars in the soil, just displaying the data about, throughout QR codes or barcodes that are really easy to be read also by not expert people, like farmers and not only. And so in this way, we will be able to transfer, to let them get the information regarding functional biodiversity of the soil, and also if the soil is good or not good enough for the application of a specific product. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I tell you what, the size of that box, having that mobile box to take out to a field to do the DNA analysis in the field there and then, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So we're going to move now from healthy plants to healthy animals and the fight against new and re-emerging pathogens. Obviously can have devastating impact on livestock farmers and actually on human health and food safety as well. So this project wanted to work in the detection of those pathogens. So please, from Vivaldi, welcome Anders Wolf. Anders.
Thank you very much. This is the instrument. So I'm pleased to introduce Vivaldi, veterinary validation of point-of-care detection instruments. The Vivaldi solution cuts the detection time for pathogens from days to hours. It provides reliable on-site diagnostic tools. It lowers the risk for public health, trade disruption, and economics losses from delayed detection, and it uses non-critical reagents as we experienced during the pandemic, where it was very difficult to get PCR reagents, but we could get our reagents. You can see the Vivaldi team here. It consists of 7 partners, of which 3 are companies from 5 different countries. Next slide, or here. Can I actually use this as a pointer? Okay. So how it works? Well, we have an instrument and then cartridge for 10 samples, and all the reagents are already on the cartridge. We're using something called loop-mediated isothermal amplification, or just isothermal PCR. All we have to know about it is that LAMP can copy DNA or RNA from pathogens, bacteria or virus, so you can detect them. It happens at a constant temperature, and also so that makes it ideal for on-site pathogen detection. The way it works, you have here, you can see up here, you peel off the lid of the cartridge, you add your sample on top of the reagents, reseal the lid, and introduce it into the instrument here. And actually, the LAMP reaction will produce DNA, but it also produces a byproduct called pyrophosphate. And pyrophosphate, together with magnesium ions from the solution, make a participate that makes the solution unclear. And that is actually what you're measuring. And the way we're doing it is that on each side of the well, you have a pyramid structure that can reflect the light, and is shown in the last cross-section here, where you have an LED, light shining down. The light gets reflected by total internal reflection across the well and up to a second, or to a photodiode that will measure the light. So the last one. Oh, that was... Okay, so the impact. So we have a validated assay that's ready for conversations. The test reduces the time for detection from days to hours. It's an on-site test and increases food safety. DNA Diagnostics will commercialize the Vivaldi test for avian influenza virus, Salmonella and Campylobacter, and they're planning the upscaling and production. It also resulted in 3 follow-up projects. Corona GX, rapid and portable test for COVID-19, which is now completed. POC for AIV, preventing zoonosis by screening AIV in wildlife, birds, and poultry using a novel rapid point-of-care system. And PAIR, pandemic information to support rapid response. Thank you very much for your attention.
Anders, thank you so much. Thank you. Come and take a seat. And I was going to say, bring the model with you. Absolutely fabulous. That's it. Leave it on the table there. It's great. And to change detection from days down to hours, what a huge difference. Well, what a breakthrough for you and your team as well. Rightly proud of it. Thank you. We're going to now look at our final project, and this concentrates on the human side of things when we look at entrepreneurship, because this project actually looks to see how we can find innovation and entrepreneurship in rural areas, which are, of course, the drivers of innovation as well. But, of course, we need to have the right environment for innovation to flourish. This project is really interesting. So from Rubismo, please welcome Tora Raybug. Tora, thank you.
Thank you. In this project, we had 11 countries collaborating, and we interviewed more than 100 companies to find out what was their innovation, and we also developed these sustainability indicators. So we wanted to know what made them successful, these companies, and was it possible to replicate, to modify, to use this knowledge within other areas for other entrepreneurs. So what you see here is what the homepage looked like if you go into it, where you can actually find all the tools that we developed during this project. But I would like to go specifically into the virtual library, which is on the next slide. Thank you. In the virtual library, we collected all the different information that was like, well, I should first say that we worked with several sectors, not only the agricultural sectors. So it was bio-based value chains, ecosystem services, and food also, obviously. And we have had these different profiles that we selected. We conglomerated the companies depending on if they were SMEs, networks, self-employed, large industries, public authorities, research centers. And we have several innovative aspects that if you click one more time, if you change the slide, we can see the curtain. So you can actually, if you use this tool to innovate your own company, or if you're thinking of developing a business in the rural countryside, you can find a lot of inspiration when you go into these different factors, and you can look at them one by one, or you can get several companies, because as there were more than 100 companies, you will get a lot of information, and there is a lot of information on each one of these companies. We will go through them very thoroughly. And this was like a collaboration together with the entrepreneurs to highlight what they're actually doing, to give them some glory and fame as well. That's why they dedicated so much time to collaborate with us and actually tell us what their secrets were, how they were successful. So in this tool, we have also included the actual business cases, but also e-learning modules, because we had this project during the Corona time, and we wanted to, as we couldn't go to meet each other and go to actual farm sites or entrepreneurs, we collaborated these e-learning modules online. Every week we had different lectures. We also had virtual visits with fewer attendants, and then we filmed it and shared the knowledge. We also developed these modules for business model training that can help entrepreneurs and also stakeholders of the business environment that supports the development of the entrepreneurs. So, and I would like to go into three specific cases, like showing some examples of these innovative companies. And the first one is from Denmark, and it's about connecting actually the fishermen straight, like directly with a mobile. So you can actually order what you would like from the fisherman and without any middle hands. So you save more money along the way, and you get fresher produce, and there's a win-win situation. On the second example that I show here, it's from a farmer that I met in 2007 when he showed me, oh, yeah, you're looking at my potato, and very interesting, but I will show you something special that I have planned for the future. And this was organic production of barley for whiskey production. And then when I contacted him when we had this project, and I asked what happened to this whiskey production. And he has been really successful in producing organic whiskey in the islands of Sweden, which is like, it's really a rural area, and he's gaining a lot of fame and selling his whiskey in several countries now, actually. Also, I wanted to highlight one project that is a mushroom house. In this case, on the picture, it's an oyster mushroom, and it was just someone who didn't know so much about mushroom growing, but he studied this, and he started employing people, and it got more and more popular. And actually, we sent out this mushroom house to all our partners as a goodbye present when we closed the project. But it's just interesting to show there are so many inspiring ideas, and there are possibilities to make businesses, even if you are in a rural area, and they can overarch so many different topics. So it's just your imagination that sets limits. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I have a feeling Diego's going to be asking for the app so he can order his fish. I saw he was like, oh, yeah, I like that idea. We kept you all on stage because we thought you're all so fantastic, and I'm not going to ask you to pick your favourite, by the way. But we thought it'd be really nice for you all to have a team photo of everyone together. So if you would all like to stand for me, and I know we've got a couple of camera operators here who really wanted to get a photo of all our fabulous projects. And Diego, would you like to go in the middle as well? That's brilliant. Just a few examples of all the many, many innovative solutions generated by projects at EU level funded under the Horizon 2020 projects. And as we've been saying, the budget has been increased, almost doubled compared now to Horizon 2020. And yeah, so many more projects. Don't go, because actually I want to show you something else. So if you wouldn't mind taking your seats again. So just come and sit down for me, because I think you're going to really like all this as well. Because innovation, as you know, is also supported under the CAP. And you may have heard, Diego was talking about them earlier, we've heard them before, the EIP operational groups, the OGs. More than 3,700 of them have been supported, loads of innovations and solutions. And I wonder how many people in the room were in Portugal earlier this year for the award ceremony. Fabulous, wonderful. It was a great moment to celebrate these OGs, the operational groups. What we thought we would do while everyone was together was just to show you the video of the OG that won. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this. This is the Colorado beetle catcher.
Have you ever grown potatoes? Then you might know these little bugs. Oh, they can be nasty. My name is Joris, and in 2019 I had a potato plot myself. Halfway through the season, these bugs ate all potato leaves. All leaves were gone, and I lost 50% of the harvest. It's not just me, but worldwide potato bugs are the largest pest in potato growing. In 2019, the Colorado beetles won the battle in my potato field. But I had an idea about how we could possibly catch them. Together with a bunch of potato farmers, they contributed with the practical ideas and farmer sense. The young machine builders from field workers, they had the technical and designing knowledge. And a lot of enthusiasm, we designed, built and tested several prototypes. At the end of our 2-year project, we had a machine that was ready for the market. A smart solution to beat the beetles that could benefit potato growers worldwide and prevent failed harvests. But that also helps to reduce the use of chemicals. No more spraying. And the use of diesel and greenhouse gas emissions. We created solutions for farmers at different scales, like an 8-row machine for larger scale farmers, or an accu-driven machine for smaller gardeners. We have started to conquer the world with our innovation. Our machines are already beating beetles in Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, Canada, Swiss, US. Will you help our farmers to beat the beetles and grow healthy potatoes sustainably? Vote for us.
So that was the video that they produced to try and get votes. And of course, they were extremely successful and they won in Estoril in Portugal earlier this year. There were lots of other winners in other categories as well, and some amazing projects. And you will see as you leave here later this evening that we have a stand dedicated to them. So if you haven't already seen, they are some of the other winners. I think we can see them now behind me, hopefully. That you'll be able to see in a moment. Some of the other, there they go, some of the other ones and some of the nominees as well. So you can go and have a look and see what they got up to. But just one of the ways that research and innovation is helping farmers right across the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for all our projects here on stage. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So what I thought we'd do is get some people on stage now, some participants in a panel discussion, and we'll get your questions as well to try and look at the priorities for research and innovation, where the areas need to be next, where our attention needs to be concentrated as well. Now, if you're watching us online or here in the room, what I'm going to do is open the Slido now for questions for this particular panel. So any questions, and I promise I will get through as many as I can. So let me welcome our panelists on stage. First of all, the Scientific Director of France's National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment. Please welcome Thierry Caquet. Thierry, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Come and, yep, lovely. Thank you. The Head of Research and Innovation Unit in the Directorate General for Agriculture and Rural Development. Please welcome Kerstin Rosnow. Kerstin. Hello. Hi. Hi. Come and take a seat. We have our farmer here, Kelly Talvin. Kelly and her particular product that she has brought with her. Fabulous. Thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you. Good to see you, thank you. And all I'll say is at this moment, don't drop that box. We have the Director of Missions and Strategic Programmes at EIT Food, Andrew Carlin. Andrew, come and join us, thank you. Thanks, Andrew, thank you very much. And Head of the Competence Centre for Research and Innovation Projects at ACIS, Elena Teodora Miron. Elena, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. First of all, actually, who likes the projects? Who had a favourite? What do we think, Kerstin? Go on.
Well, no, I'm not going to say what is my favorite project, because they're all our projects. So everybody, as you said, in the different areas, plants, animals, you name it. So it's everybody is a favorite in the individual category.
Ooh, very well done, Thierry.
That's quite political statement. I have a link of interest because I think that Inouye was involved in Tom Ress' project, so I can vote for him. Yeah. But I think that the main conclusion for me is that we have very huge problems, but we have imagination and we have techniques, we have agility in thinking of new projects. So no winner, but a task for us to be able to coordinate the next step after the end of the research. What happens next? And it's very important. I think we'll discuss about it in the following minutes.
I absolutely, because I mean we joke about which is our favourite, but you know, research when it's still in a lab or it's still in a research paper is nothing compared to research when it starts being put into the field. Let me start with you, Thierry. Yeah. So from a research perspective then, what do you think the priorities should be when you're trying to bring together competitiveness, resilience, sustainability, all those things that are talked about in the strategic dialogue?
First of all, I wanted to say that we are quite a big research institute, so it's like big ships. So we need time to go from one direction to another. But due to the, let's say, commitment of our scientists, we're able to catch new ideas as they go out of the lab or of other parts of the system. And for us, the strategic research agenda we have is fully aligned with the Green Deal and with the recommendation of the strategic dialogue. So we built on it to elaborate our new strategy for the future. And my personal feeling is that there is a continuum, it's not that original, between basic research and applied research and innovation. And for us, the solution for tomorrow are in the lab at the moment. It's basic research so far, some innovative. And our task as managers of such institutes is to find a way to upscale this innovation from the lab to the real field. And I think that we have several opportunities to do this. The first one is to continue what was happening in the past years. For example, in genetics, we have been involved in breeding programs for decades. But now we're breeding new plant varieties with new objectives. It's no more the production. It's more resistance towards stress, drought, for example, or pathogens. And just an example, we have developed with the wine industry and the French Wine and Vine Institute some new grape wine that are resistant to mildew. And we reduced the amount of fungicide needed in vineyards for about 80 to 90%. So it's a huge progress regarding the use of fungicides in the field. And if we would want to be more, let's say, innovative, it's not one solution or another solution which is necessary. The idea is to have a panel of solutions. Each of the solution has only a limited efficiency. So we need to think about the way we can organize or having, let's say, a suite of solutions, each with a, let's say, reduced efficiency, but the whole set will be more efficient, and apply this strategy of assembling solution, taking into account the local situation, the ability of farmers to get this solution on board, And if we want to be really successful, we have to think systemic. And I will just take an example of an ongoing project which is funded by the Commission for in support to the Green Deal, which is the Clean Farms project, which is on tackling both adaptation to climate change and mitigation of climate change through the development of climate neutral farms and climate resilient farms. And this project is not made only by scientists and farmers, they are both on board, but we have all the supply chain, we have all the value chain, including the agribusiness. Big companies are with us in this project, so we try to implement in various locations around Europe this new solution, this set of solutions, to have something that is disseminated with digital platforms to all the users with a specific target. And it was mentioned during the keynote, which are the young farmers that are coming to take the farms, because during their initial training, they need to be aware of what's happening in the lab, what's happening in our projects at the European level. That's by the way of let's say, implementing innovation within training also, that we can solve our problems.
It's a really interesting point, because one of the challenges is always getting information out and sharing information and getting it to the right place. But if you have the right people from the whole supply chain in the room or in the lab to start with, then that's half your battle.
Yes, and we also have to take into account the fact that farmers themselves they know what is happening in their field, their culture, and we should be able to listen to them. Not only hearing their requirements, but listening, which is quite different.
Yes, that is such a good point. Well, look, we've got a farmer sitting too along from you. Kelly, welcome. And actually, you've given us a wonderful photograph of your farm, haven't you? So I wonder whether we could show that now, and you can tell us where it is that you come from. So if we could show the picture of Kelly's farm, I think. There we go. Oh, in just a moment, I think we can show. Yeah, yes.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. This is a pleasure to be here. And also, maybe just a few remarks that I would take all the projects that were previously here presented. As we have very diverse farm, we have poultry, we have vegetables, cut flowers that are grown ecologically, and we do regenerative agriculture in our farm. But to maybe go back a bit, and as the research and innovation is the topic here, my research about agriculture started 3.5 years ago, when we decided that we are going into agriculture because we have no agricultural background. Together with my husband, he was a technology teacher, I was in communications, and when the children came and we had to leave 7 a.m. and came back like 7 p.m. and we had 1 hour to feed the kids and do everything. Then we were thinking, what's the point? What's the point of having this family? And actually, we lived in the countryside. We had 10 hectares around our house, and we didn't have the eureka, that idea that we wanted definitely to do. So we really went to Google and typed in agriculture, and this really was the A and B, how we started, not exaggerated anyway. And then every link that came, and we clicked, and every opportunity to teach us something, we grabbed, and we made a pact together that we will cover all Estonian agricultural workshop, seminars, whatever they are offered, also what we can find in the internet abroad, and we dived in. We didn't watch any movies. The first winter we put the kids to bed, we went to YouTube and started watch farming videos. So this is maybe one thought to take with you, all the researchers, and you do so much valuable stuff. So much value is in the conclusions that can be practiced, make it available, put it in YouTube, put it on like Facebook, whatever. Make it accessible for very, very simple beginners like we were in 3 years ago. But the innovation for us, as I said, was agriculture itself. So we have a quite short like agricultural memory, but we were excluding different possibilities that we couldn't do for like beef or herding or grains, because 10 hectares it's not sustainable. And the base of all sustainability is the economic sustainability, because if you think it in the context of your home, and you want to have like new curtains or more light in your home, or you want to buy carpets to reduce the slippery floors, but if you don't have money to feed your children, then you cannot do either of those things. So this is really what I think the research and innovation at this time must concentrate on to help farmers like to be economically sustainable. So that's what I think about it at the moment.
So so many things to mention there. I love the fact that you just opened a laptop and went, right, Google, what shall we do? and this is what happened. Do you want to show us the product? Because you've managed to get them all the way here from Estonia. Yeah, please don't drop them now.
Yeah, well, Sasha told me to bring something, and it was a bit more difficult to bring the chickens, so I brought the eggs. so yeah, here you can see the photo of how the...
Do you mind opening them for Kelly, because so she can use it? That's it, lovely. Need 2 hands.
Yes.
No, we don't.
Don't throw them. Yeah. So with the chickens and how we all started, we just are scaling up in some time. So at first we started with 100 chickens to test everything out. So from spring to autumn, we do portion herding for the chickens. And in the winter time, they are in the tunnel behind this. So it works really well. We keep them longer than some other egg producers. So we have like 2-year-old chickens at our farm. So this Vivaldi stuff, we would like to take it with us also, because of course in every production way there are risks and benefits. So that's how it. And also what I think is very important in our farm, why we are such diverse farm, is that it's like local farm-based ecological circulatory system. So what's left from chickens in the wintertime from the greenhouse, we can use in the field with our flowers and vegetables. But also with the vegetables, what's left from vegetables, we can reduce the waste and feed them to the chickens. Make eggs from the...
Perfect. True circular. And Kelly's being very modest, but these eggs go to several Michelin-starred restaurants.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, we have several ways to sell our produce. One is we have a self-service shop in our farm where people just come, take the produce, leave the money, take the pack, the change, or do the transfer. Then we have a few restaurants which really do have Michelin stars also. Not all the restaurants, but they're all very high quality and really doing good stuff, but also in some shops. But our main focus is the local people, as Estonia produces only about 51% of the eggs itself. So we don't have the export in our mind. So that's.
No, it's brilliant though. Maybe you'll be selling them here later. I don't know. Kirsten, you look like you wanted to come in there.
That's a fabulous way of showing. how you can get your business started.
Yeah.
So how you can try out innovation with trial and error.
Yeah.
And I mean, also getting some help, I think, from advisors, so from neighbors. So farmers learn from farmers, as Diego has said. So this is great. So to see how this all took off.
So it's a great example of, going back to the strategic dialogue, of knowledge sharing. There's your sharing. Eleanor, let me bring you in here. Thierry started with talking about his priorities. We've just heard about the knowledge sharing, and that was one of your priorities as well. Where do you sit in this? What are your priorities?
Well, being part of an advisory service, our function is basically being the supporter of farmers to future-proof their farms, their family businesses, and their living, because we heard it's important to be able to make a living and feed your children. That is vital for a farmer. So first and foremost for advisors, this is their goal. To be able to fulfill that goal, we also need to be part of the collection and translation of research knowledge into practical applicability, because it is only the application on the farm of this knowledge which creates the impact to all the challenges we face. It's not enough that we have the knowledge. It needs to be put in practice. It needs to be able to develop the impact it can develop so that we can solve the challenges which we face.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that I promised we would talk about, because again, it's in the strategic dialogue as well, is the public-private partnerships. Now, Andrew, I'm going to bring you in here, but Kelly, just very quickly, any bigger partnerships that you're with at the moment? You're not, are you? You're just yourselves and... Yeah.
Yeah, we are at the moment just ourselves, and what maybe has really helped us sleep at night in the beginning of farming is that we don't have any financial duties, loans. We have started slow, but of course there comes a time when it's necessary to make investments. But yes, so that's. We are participating in like a climate demo farm project, and we really see the value in the projects and want to cooperate, of course, a lot.
Yeah. So sitting next to you is the man who knows all about public-private partnerships. So when you look at research and innovation, and with everything that you've heard, speaking from EIT Food, where do you fit into this, and what would your priorities be? What do you see as working well?
Thanks, Sasha. So as EIT Food, we're co-financed, and the co-funding is super important through the Horizon programme, through subscription and membership fees from our partners, but also every activity that we do is co-funded by the people involved, which ties us all. Effectively, everyone's got skin in the game. Everyone is literally invested in the success. So there are no passengers in this model. And that's a very important thing, that people choose to commit not just to the work, but they choose to commit to each other and each other's success. And that's a massive aspect of that. In terms of our role as EIT Food, what we've heard very strongly from our partnership and the community is that our role is really to think about funding, community building and advocating. In terms of funding, getting money into priority areas, but also fundraising, thinking about the scale of the problems that we face, the impact that we want to create. The public funds are a great starting place, but they are not the whole story. So increasingly we're partnering with other NGOs, other charities, effectively trying to turn that 10 million into 50 million to really tackle issues at their biggest scale. So fundraising as well as funding distribution is vitally important. The choices you make about where the funding goes are super important. So we work around a model of 3 missions: healthier lives from food, getting to a net zero food system, but increasing resilience and fairness in the food system. And those are very much our sort of guiding lights. And it's important to understand where you don't go, and setting priorities and sticking to them is hugely important. And the community are a vital, vital part of that. Our strategy, our roadmaps, entirely co-created with stakeholders, with our partners. And the community building, it's absolutely about connecting the right people, building consortia, curating that experience. But between the community building and funding, advancing skills, thinking about the next generation of leadership, you know, as Diego was saying earlier about the age demographics within farming, how do we encourage people to choose that career? And also it's about capacity building in a very physical sense, test farms, living labs, safe spaces where innovation can move into practice, as we've discussed as well. And on the advocating side, building the evidence base to be able to convince bigger corporates, the whole value chains around agri-food, that there are opportunities within what we're trying to do across Europe in terms of policy development and the issues that the SDA brings out. There are absolutely opportunities there, but we need to build the evidence for the business cases for that. So it's about impact evidence, but about the fact, yes, you can be profitable making these choices. And then also advocating in the more regulatory environment, because food is one of those areas, it's incredibly emotive personally as well as politically and in regulatory terms. So we really need to advance on that so the market is ready for the innovation to actually land there.
Yeah, it's like a jigsaw, isn't it? It all has to come together. And Kirsten, just from you, and then I'm going to turn to what we have a lot of questions from the room. But are there any other areas where the EU is partnering to help with the research and innovation or the skills going forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, partnering, especially at EU level, I think is absolutely key. So Diego was already mentioning in the very beginning, so we had heard an example of public-private partnership. But we are partnering very much with the member states. So we're competing out there with research and innovation with the US, with China, with other big players. And we have we have still a fragmented, let's say, research and innovation landscape in Europe, and we have to make sure that we partner up with this. And especially at European level, where you have to see what's the European added value in coming in. So that's something which is key. And what is one of the big achievements, I think, of the last years is that we picked together with the member states areas where we think key action is necessary. For instance, animal health and welfare. If we think of African swine fever, we've just heard, so blue tongue disease and whatever, vaccine development is super costly. So do we need to do this individually in each of the member states, or can we do this combined as a force and use also the different forces of the research and innovation institutes all over? And work together on this. Or in the area of environmental sustainability, we heard it again and again, to combine it with economic sustainability. So if we use agroecological practices, so how can we do that with research infrastructures, with research, but also with living lab approaches, also together with the member states. So we set up these partnerships, and we've been extremely successful. We didn't know, because they're big animals, worth several million euros. But in the end, especially for the first two partnerships, we have been so successful in getting the member states and their contributions together that we had to really be inventive to match it with our EU funding. And that really shows that there's interest and there is necessity to work together. So that's one area also for agri-data now, key. We've heard digitalization, data exchange, data transfer, all these things in a safe space for farmers and foresters is key. So these are all areas where we're partnering up and where we try to use specificities, do common calls, and therefore be stronger in the implementation. But that's not all. Also, to really relating a bit what Thierry was saying before, it's also that we try a different way of doing research. So instead, if I take, for instance, the example of soil, so having, again, here fragmented a bit here, maybe in Hungary on soil biodiversity, maybe in France on soil erosion, or I don't know what the different areas. Let's really try it from a different angle, from a societal challenges. Soil health, this is what we have to improve, and then work with all actors together. And make sure, and it starts with the public policy sphere. So if we want to restore soil health, well, then let's work with the policy side. So we, the researchers, all over Europe, we provide the intelligentsia for the soil monitoring law, for the policymakers. So if we want, we have said there is a science-practice divide, so if there are things, you have said it yourself, that are developed in the labs, in the universities, they're only worth it, not if they're shelved, but if it goes out there. So very many of you have mentioned living lab approaches. So this is where we partner up with the farmers, the foresters, and the rural communities. Then what else do we need? Soil education, soil advice. So that's also something where there's a research and innovation side, but where we have to partner up as well. So, and if we want to have not only scientific excellence, but if we want to have impact as well, this is where we have to go. And this is where we have to make sure that we have to make further advances in what we do in Europe to really be more impactful for all the challenges that farmers, foresters, and rural communities face, as we heard now in numerous interventions all over the 2 days here.
We've had some brilliant questions. Let me throw this one to you and see who wants to pick this one up. And it's about the model for research and actually for funding. Have you ever thought that changing the approach by funding more projects and then more calls for smaller projects could have a more significant impact? This person says, we need to find ways to involve SMEs in the research process more extensively. Yeah, Andrew, just quick point, because I want to hear from lots
certainly,
of people.
I can speak to that. Our experience has been the smaller the projects in the portfolio, the less effective the whole portfolio is. So getting SMEs involved in clustering and building stronger consortia where you can do genuinely connected work programs at a bigger scale tends to be more effective over the long term. It sounds slightly counterintuitive, but it's the partnering, building the clusters is the super important element. That's where the engagement really drives the difference.
But see, that does sound counterintuitive, because you would think that a small project or an SME, a small SME, would actually have come up with maybe something that is really individual to them, that no one else has been able to do or think of, because there's not maybe enough finance in it for them, and it's them that need the help?
Absolutely, they need the help, but also they need the network effect of connecting into the value chains and building their business networks around that innovation. So it's not the innovation on its own, it's how you support that innovation into the business system around it.
It's the network.
Yeah, just to add on this, I think that like in biology, we need diversity in projects. I mean, the big projects, or big portfolio of big projects are very useful, but perhaps they are too big to be transformative, at least at the beginning. So we need to have different ways to fund research, having small targeted projects, having on board the SMEs or other actors that can have a very, let's say, smart idea and need to have some seed money, or not seed money, perhaps much than seed money, but to have the money to test something. And I think that perhaps the added value of this diversity will not be made unless we are able to have the follow-up of all the projects. Because sometimes I have the feeling, even for INRAE, that we're performing a project for 4 years, 5 years, and then afterwards we go to another project with no following, or at least not building upon the previous project, but starting something new, and then we forgot almost what was done before. Yeah. So we need to have this long-term vision, diversity of projects, not one-size-fits-all for the projects, big projects, small projects, targeted projects, more blue sky projects, a variety, because diversity is the basis of flexibility and resilience. So for us, it's important to have this different way of funding research. And just to last mention of what Kirsten was saying about soil, I want to testify that in the EGP soil, the European Joint Programme of Soil, I was involved in the board of program managers, we have a lot of young scientists, PhD students, postdocs, that get involved in this because we brought to them the idea that we will share a common vision of the future of soil in Europe. And this is very, let's say, exciting for them. And there is a new generation of soil scientists now in Europe coming from this EGP soil, not only from this, but partly from this. And they are the future of soil research. And this is also an added value of this large project with the ambition and sharing a common vision.
Let me come to the next question. Did you want to quickly come in on that, Kirsten, or are you all right?
Well, yeah, maybe just for a second. So I would concur with the two speakers, but also say it depends a little bit which area we talk about. When we talk about fundamental research, long-term research we're carrying out, there it's maybe we need longer term, we need bigger projects and so on. When we talk about applied agricultural research, we're maybe somewhere in between. And then we talk about innovation already, or we talk about knowledge exchange or co-creation even, then there is definitely also room for smaller projects. And a lot of the projects that even if they're, like, let's say, generally bigger in size, but for instance, when we talk about living lab projects, there's many small sub-projects inside, which exactly allow for the participation of, let's say, the unusual research suspects, but which we really need, and also which provide for the fact that we get newcomers to the field. So that's also something which, when we were talking about the multi-actor approach before, for instance, and Thierry mentioned some projects where we applied this, so this is where we in fact value, as said before, scientific excellence, but we add another layer on this, and which is outreach, and which is end-user involvement, which also gets evaluated, and this is also something which maybe in a scientist's career, generally you work with scientific papers. So that's what you get reward of. But maybe we have to think about a different way of doing this. Maybe we should think that also the contact with the end users, such projects, they're maybe more cumbersome, and don't always lead to scientific publications, but that the institutes also recognize this in a researcher's career. So this is important.
Yeah, what an excellent point. If you work out why people do things, but actually put a totally different KPI almost on it. It's like, how many people have you managed to talk to? How much contact have you had? Let me just very quickly throw this one at you, and just a sentence if you want to answer this one. I know that's difficult. Simplification is on the agenda of the new Commission. How can we simplify access to funding programs and accelerate systemic innovation? Right, how do you make it easier then? Kelly, you just opened Google and typed it in, so I mean that's... Kirsten, do you have a TikTok account?
Yes, I do. I have children, so I need to. No, but seriously speaking, simplification is of course always, and we try to do that. So it's a continuous agenda. It's not that we now start simplifying. Sure. So we do this actually continuously as we go along. We see Diego was mentioning one thing, which was lump sums but that's easier for some. It's not easier for others. So we also have to think, when we think about simplification, what simplification for whom? Exactly. So because there's always different side for the administration, for the end user, for the applicant, and so on. And there's different avenues in trying this, also getting better, more compact information out there, making easier access, better information, getting the national contact points involved, getting all of this out there, making sure there's enough time to apply. There's really a toolbox that we can use to make it easier. And then in the end, also, I mean, as Dora was mentioning, and also, I mean, get the connection and make sure that so you get the assistance that you need, either as a farmer or as an applicant, to do a good application.
Eleanor, yeah.
Maybe looking from a bit of a different perspective, not talking only about the funding, maybe of some things we could do less, and I'm looking here as project participants who are practitioners also, advisors, farmers, people who also have another job than working in a research project. In order to be able to do that, what would be really helpful to get simplified is that farmers and advisors who support them have a lot of reporting responsibilities to comply with several funding projects, with several funding regulations. If that time could be diminished by more efficient systems who are more integrated, where a lot happens in the background, then there would be a bit more time to focus on the research, on the things which you can then translate into practice, into application, into impact. So that would be a simplification which is not necessarily directly addressed to the funding, but which would enable more knowledge sharing, collaboration, and participation from that side.
Now, we asked you at the very beginning to think about your priorities, where you would like to see research and innovation be concentrated going forward. And we asked you to input your ideas into Slido. Now, I believe that what we've done, I'm hoping this is the case, is put all of those ideas together, and we'll be able to show you now what we came up with, or rather what you came up with. So I'm hoping, because obviously I've not been able to see this because I've been up here. So, okay, yeah, we've got it. So if you would like to put it up on the board, there we go. Thank you so much. So these were the responses, 162 responses. That's brilliant, thank you. So I'm going to assume that these are in priority order. Maybe they were, or maybe these are all the ones that came out on top. So the areas where our audience thought more support or priority should be given. Kirsten, do you want to pick up on anything there, or Thierry? Anyone wants to pick up?
Yes.
Yeah, Thierry, please do.
Perhaps because I've seen some keywords that that sounds familiar. You know, agroecology, organic farming, digital, plant breeding. So I think that perhaps for me the vision is that we have sort of scattered answers, and probably one key innovation for us, at least in research institution, but we can share with other actors, is the way we can imagine to have a real agroecological engineering, having all the pieces, having the vision, and how do we shape the future. I think so far we are working by incremental changes, so we need to change more radically the things, and this agroecological engineering way of thinking could be a nice opportunity to have all these proposals together in a common vision.
Mm. Look, Eleanor, yeah, you look.
What would be maybe helpful also under the CAP regulation now, the member states are obliged to implement innovation support services, which should pick up on the ground needs and on the ground ideas for innovation and research. We also have a very big wealth of EIP projects who tackle very specific problems bottom up and put them into research. So looking also into those priorities and aggregating them also from the bottom to the top and bringing them together with the priorities which are defined in the big policy framework might be really helpful.
Mm. Incidentally, if you said digital or smart agriculture, do make sure you're in the room or watching us online tomorrow, because we have so much on digital and smart agriculture tomorrow that we can share with you, which I know that you will love. I think it's been really interesting, eye-opening and fascinating to see what your different thoughts are going forward. And everyone now is going to go for the eggs. So Kelly, do hang on to them and make sure they get back safely with you. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank our panelists. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the second day. I hope you've enjoyed everything, and we've certainly sparked some ideas for you. One of the biggest things that people get out of these events is meeting and talking to people. So that's what we are going to do now. Are all the panelists happy if people come up and speak to you during the... Lovely, jolly good. So please feel free to network. We have some drinks for you outside. We're back tomorrow morning, online and in the room at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And yes, there'll be a lot about smart digital and everything that is going on there when it comes to the new generation of what farmers and agriculture is doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the evening, and we'll see you back in the room early again tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.